Well, really proud of my football team and the way they competed today. You know, challenged after last week's performance in their preparation, and then how they compete. You know, compete every play, play physical, and they did that today. So, yeah, there's things we've got to work on. It's the third game of the season. If you're a finished product after game 3, you know, you're destined for greatness, and we're not there yet. We're not destined for greatness. So if anybody wants to write that greatness column, I would tap the brakes. But proud of their effort, proud of the way they competed. They played Notre Dame football. We're still evolving. I mean, you know, I'd like to say we're a finished product. We're just not. I mean, we're trying to find our identity on offense. I think we're a good defense. We're not a great defense yet. We got some things to clean up. But boy, I really like our football team and the way they competed today. And now we got to do that each and every week, right? I mean, prepare the right way and then compete, get after it, be physical, run the football. That's an SEC team. We ran it for, I don't know, 250 yards. I think that's pretty good. So a lot of things, a lot of positives from it. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Coach, Austin Huff, Goshen News. First up, I'm sorry I missed you on Thursday. I know that was a big deal.
I'll tell you what, it was a tough day on Thursday. I had to listen to Sampson and all his questions from his new venture in Time Illustrated that he works for.
I apologize. I really didn't mean. Actual questions now. Brandon ran a lot more today. Was that part of the game plan?
You know, we keep going through this. Brandon is part of our running game. You know, I mean, we want, we want to focus on the things that he does well, and he runs the football. He also throws it. And he also is a good leader, and he's a great competitor. So some weeks he may run it more than others, but he's one of our really good runners. So I think we all should just kind of get used to the fact that he's going to be part of our running game each and every week. Some weeks he may get more carries than others, but he's certainly part of it, yes.
Do you think that gives you an advantage, having a guy who can run the ball, maybe salvage some plays that don't work?
Yeah, well, certainly. Anytime you have a quarterback that has that ability to extend plays, there's a definite benefit there. But if the net result is a turnover or poor decisions, no, it's not an advantage. And we saw last week, as you know, that he didn't make good decisions. That's not him. No, he's not been that sloppy, bad decision kind of guy. He makes good decisions, and we saw that again today. You saw the kind of player he is in the 2 out of the 3 games that we played, and I think that's much more towards the trend of who he is.
Brian, to your right.
Yeah.
Is there a way to take some of the comfort in those scripted series that 3 games in a row have really come out quickly and gotten down the field and apply it to the rest of the game?
You know, I was asked that question again earlier in the week. We don't script them. So they're not really scripted plays. We just get into a good flow early on. And, what we probably need to do is be more repeaters of plays. In other words, go back to plays that have been successful and come back and repeat them.
Well, one play it seemed you did repeat was that pseudo wheel route to Tony Jones up the sideline. Was there something you saw in Vanderbilt where that really could be applicable?
Well, a lot of man coverage. So, we're getting the wheel, drive, dig combination. So if you do a good job, defending him, then we're creating space on the drive route coming back. So they're really easy complements for us, versus man coverage.
Brian, Eric Hansen, South Bend Tribune.
Yeah, I know you.
No. Well, I'm just following the directions. No sacks today and 5.1 yards per carry rushing. What do you feel like the offensive line did today that you were pleased with, that you wanted to see?
We had a tough week last week, and I think a lot of it fell on me, and I did a poor job preparing our football team. There was a lot of movement, a lot of stunting, things that, I wish that I did a better job. That's behind us. We got back to what we do in terms of our preparation for our football team. And I was confident that we would come out and be the group that I believe we can be. We're far from where we need to be as an offensive line, as an offensive group, as I mentioned earlier. But we're capable of running the football with some effectiveness. And the other thing that you're seeing is a maturation of both running backs. We saw some things today, and I'm sure you all were observant of it as well, is that we were running to daylight much better. We saw our cuts. We were fitting much better. And that's why I say we're 3 games into this. But we had 2 really good opponents that have tested us. And I think you're going to start to see that there's much more of a confidence level starting to emerge with that group, that they can be effective all year.
Brian,
You had mentioned that Book and Wimbush had both bought into the, switching the quarterbacks and so forth. But just from a pragmatic standpoint of getting a guy in, taking him out, getting him back in, how do you make that work and run smoothly and keep him in a rhythm?
Certainly, Eric, it's got to be practiced. So it's something that we're working on during the week. Everybody's alert, and there has to be a package that you feel confident in. It can't be wholesale in everything that you do. So there are specific things that we're doing and that we're drilling down that our whole offense is quite aware of, that these are the plays, this is the package that we're working on. So it doesn't cut across everything that we do. There's some intentionality, if you will, to what we're doing when he goes in, and I think everybody else knows what it is.
Brian, Teddy Greenstein up front.
Yeah,
What was
Teddy.
your take on the play where it ended up with Julian earning the touchback?
Well, I will say this. We got caught behind the widened post where, from a technical standpoint, inside the 20, we have to play over the top. But what I was pleased with is that it's a drill we work on, is that we come up through the receiver and try to strip. And so we stayed with the play right through the whistle and got the ball out. And, the ball got, as you saw, it was a rugby scrum in the end zone, and we were able to get on it. We've had a play like that last year against Michigan State as well. We stayed with the play. I think that's the key.
And also, you kept using the word compete. Elliott on that, breaking up that 4th and 4. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So as we define compete, 6 seconds. The play is 6 seconds. We want our players playing through that 6 seconds. We felt like we were pulling off plays a little early last week, and so the emphasis was defining what compete meant. It's kind of like the old adage of don't run to the cone, run through the cone. We felt like maybe we ran to the cone too much last week.
Coach George Brashear, Shakedown of Thunder Sports.
Yeah.
Brandon had some struggles with trying to commit to a slide or just to take a hit. What can he do to make sure, he's taking the slide so he doesn't get injured?
Well, that's a pretty astute observation, because I felt the same way. So you and I are astute together. We ran really hard. I think last week, we were a little concerned about him not running, and finishing off the runs. And today he ran really hard, and then he got to the marker. I think he was just looking around too much. He just needs to finish off those runs. He's much better finishing them off than pulling up. He has a better chance of finishing clean than pulling out of them. So I think you're right. It's a conversation. We'll sit down. We'll show him the film, because I think the observation is right. We want him to finish those runs off.
And if I can follow up with one more for your defense, Julian Love, this is the 3rd week, and the 3rd week a different guy has stepped up for you on defense.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good problem to have.
Yeah, so, we had this conversation about if you have players on all 3 levels of your defense, which we have each week, we've had different players from the defensive line to linebacker to the back end of defense, whether it's the corner, the safety, whether it's Coney, whether it's Khalid Kareem, you're probably putting together a pretty good defensive product, and kind of that's what we're seeing.
Brian, to your right, Tim Priester, Irish Illustrated. You said the defense is good, not great. Does
That's
it
right.
have greatness ability? And if so,
It has a
what are-
chance to grow and get better.
In what aspects?
Well, we're, assignment correct. We couple of times, we didn't blitz a safety and we leave the tight end uncovered. We lose eyes on a couple of plays here and there. Look, we're in the end zone and we intercept the ball and we pull it out on the 1 yard line. I mean, just these little things that can bump you from good to really doing some amazing things. So we're 3 games into it, and I think we're doing some good things, but there's really room for improvement, not from the effort standpoint, but from a technical and tactical standpoint, I think we can get better.
The safety position in particular, how much better are you there this year than last year?
I mean,
Is it night and day?
I mean, I could use all the analogies in the world, but we're getting significant production from that position.
Brian here in front, Pete Sampson from The Athletic.
Oh, it's The Athletic.
Thank you.
Congratulations, then.
Thank you. Maybe for the first time this season, you really got positive stuff from all 3 phases. Newsome, Michael Young's kickoff return. How significant a lesson do you think that needs to be for the guys that for this team to hit its potential, all of it is going to have to work?
Yeah, Pete, that's a good question. We've put in so much time, and I mean significant time in practice. I've adjusted our practice. We're usually about a 15 to 17 minute daily organizational partition for ST, and we've gone to 20 to 22 minutes. And I've been waiting for that to come to fruition. I thought it would, because we've been spending so much time on it. Newsome's a senior. He's been through a lot. We think he's got a live leg, but we hadn't seen the consistency. Today, we certainly did. We know Yoon. I mean, we maybe rushed the kick, probably didn't serve him well by trying to let that clock run down. It maybe spooked him a little bit. But to get the kickoff return, to get John kicking it the way he can, the coverage necessary, it's going to be huge for us. I mean, look, you see us early on with 3 games. I mean, we're not going to beat you 52-3. I mean, we're going to grind it out. We're going to play tough, hard-nosed, blue-collar football, and we're going to need our special teams to be really good. And that's, I'd like to say I know that we're going to play better and have a better identity on offense because we can do some really good things, but our special teams is going to have to be there for us.
Is what you've seen through the first 3 games about what you thought you would see on August 4th when you started at Culver, or has this been a surprise and gone in a little bit different way than you would have expected?
No, I thought we'd have some growing pains on offense in terms of young backs. I think the pieces are there, but it was going to take some time, especially knowing what the schedule looked like early. We were going to have to really play physical and play hard and play every play.
Coach Angelo DiCarlo, Redeemer Radio. Nick Wisher, obviously you spoke so highly of him throughout the preseason. For him to get a touchdown, what do you think that meant to the group as a whole to kind of see a guy like that score? Yeah, well, he means a lot to the group. I mean, he's a leader. And look, I mean, everybody talks about this, but behind the walls, in the clubhouse, in the locker room, he is a very influential player on our football team. So when he gets in the game, it's important to him, and when he makes plays, it sends a real positive feeling amongst our football team. And I thought he got the first down too, by the way. Not that anybody wants my opinion, but it sure looked like he did. And so he really has a heartbeat for our football team. Thank you, guys. Good. Thanks.